Welcome to today's webinar on the Returning to Work series. I hope all of you who are joining us today are safe and well. This has been a testing time for everyone, particularly business owners. So it is fantastic today to host a webinar that is all about surviving and thriving, and focusing on how innovation can help you pivot your business in a new direction. This is the third webinar in the series on returning to work, designed and developed by Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council in partnership with the Business Partnership Alliance. If you've missed any of the others, they're online on the Council's YouTube channel. With a historically strong local business ecosystem, Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council are very much committed to their local businesses and working in partnership with them to help them get through this period of reopening and into a strong recovery mode, and doing it in a very inclusive and partnership orientated manner. We hope that these sessions are informative and helpful, not only as you return to your businesses, but also as you start to think how you can drive the recovery in your business and start to consider your growth plans. I am personally delighted to see lots of shops opening up, news of the pubs and restaurants, as well as hairdressers. And I've been really impressed by the steps that lots of businesses have been taking to ensure that their employees, their customers, and the fellow businesses around them can all reopen safely. As more businesses, offices, and retailers continue to prepare for their return to work, this session will help companies really understand the importance of continued innovation as we enter the post-COVID world. Innovation is sometimes a word which frightens people because they associate it with huge or significant investment, or indeed changing major parts of a business. But innovation can also be about making small incremental changes and pivoting the way you do things, discovering new sales channels. So in this session, we're going to hear lots about local businesses in the ABC Borough Council area who have been pivoting their businesses during lockdown. And it's been done with great support from the Economic Development Team at ABC in partnership with companies like Brilliant Red and GCD. My name is Doran and I'm a partner of Lanyon Group, a communications company, and I'm delighted to host today's webinar. I'm joined by some fantastic experts in the area of innovation: Chris McConville, Director at Brilliant Red Digital; Gail Kincaid, Business Development at Healthy Kids; Andrew Goff, Managing Director of GCD Technologies; and Tracy Rice, Head of Business Engagement, with her colleague Kieran Swear, Innovation and Technology Specialist, both Tracy and Kieran from the Southern Regional College. So before we kick things off and we get stuck right into innovation, let's hear a short welcome message from the newly appointed Lord Mayor of Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council, Kevin Savage.
As the economy moves towards recovery, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar, which focuses on innovation. The Council continues to help and support our local businesses, so if you have any questions or need some advice, please contact the Business Support Team or visit our website. This is the last webinar in our Return to Work series, and we hope you have found them useful. I would now like to hand you over to our host, Katie Doran. Stay safe everyone and keep in touch.
Lord Mayor. And as the Lord Mayor said, today is about sharing insights and expertise, and we have a lot to get through. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask, please use the question function and send them through, and we'll respond to those questions either at the end of the session or get back to you afterwards. But as I said, we have a lot of stories of fantastic companies that have been pivoting during lockdown. I'm going to get stuck straight in. So Chris, from Brilliant Red, you've been working with a number of companies during this pandemic period, and maybe if you could just start by telling us a little bit about Brilliant Red and what you do, and then share with us some of those case studies of those companies that have been transforming their business with your support.
Thanks very much, Katie. Yes, Brilliant Red has been a traditional sales and marketing company. We were founded in 1997. So we very much worked with local councils on business development programs, Scottish Enterprise, Invest Northern Ireland. So very much a traditional sales and marketing company. But about 8 years ago, we recognised the need to really adapt our own business and focus more on innovation and digital. And that was really what the market was demanding from us as a company. So we work very closely with the ABC Council, and we are delivering a program called the Ghost Driver Program within the council area. And so that program is a business development program for small business owners within the council area to really focus on bringing innovation into their business. So really trying to adapt. Now this was pre-COVID times, but we always focus on trying to innovate with small businesses. So how can they reach that next level of value that they can bring to their customers? How can they look to begin exporting? How can they really compete within their market and within their industry? Obviously, COVID has represented its own challenges for businesses at this time, and small businesses especially. Larger businesses can maybe adapt because of the budgets and the revenues that they can rely on, but small businesses, it can be family businesses with low levels of savings that actually can be then returned back into their business. So they really do need help in terms of pivoting and adapting to the current situation that they find themselves in. And we've worked with a number of this time through the ABC Council who have really tried hard to help and support businesses through this time. And one such business is Camaria. So they're a local company within Armagh, and they basically it's a family-run business. There are two cousins, one's Kim, one's Maria, hence the name Camaria. And again, they're candle manufacturers basically. So they produce eco-friendly luxury scented candles. So a very niche market, but it's candles, oils, melts, diffusers. So they're master blenders, as how they would describe it, and they can create 100% sustainable and eco-friendly soya wax melts, very differentiated to the general candles that you would see on sale in many stores. So very niche product.
And Chris, their traditional sales methods, what were they?
Exactly. So traditionally they were a B2B business. So they had well-established sales channels and distribution channels. So they would sell directly to high-end fashion boutiques, beauticians. They would even work with people who are creating houses. So house builders, and they could create a scent specifically for the show homes that they would be inviting people into. So they would walk into this new house and be greeted with this wonderful aroma. So it was very much a B2B market that they operated within, with well-established sales channels. And when COVID-19 happened, obviously shops closed. There was no longer that market for them. People weren't requiring the candles for people to come in and have that wonderful shopping experience with a Camaria scent. So they were stuck basically. And I suppose the innovation and the development that they needed to bring into their business was that they very much focused on getting online and reaching a consumer market. So they had a pre-existing website.
They hadn't been online at all, Chris, had they? Or
they had a pre-existing website, and basically they had an e-commerce store, which was more of a showcase for their products. It was, this is what we do. If you like what you're seeing here, maybe get in touch for more information. But it wasn't a main revenue stream for them by any stance. 90% of their business came through the B2B market. So when that is taken away, they obviously need to replace that business, or it will go under. And the type of small family businesses we want to see sustained within the Northern Ireland economy, they are the backbone of the economy. So again, they had to adapt. And what we worked with them on was really reaching their end user and presenting it in a way that matched the kind of competition that they would be up against, the larger candle brands within the market. So when other people withdrew their budgets in terms of digital advertising or digital spend, they focused very much on pushing things like Google Shopping ads, which could reach the end user directly on their mobile phone, Facebook advertising, and matching their e-commerce store to that high level that you would see on, let's say, a Yankee Candle brand, having a really good shopping experience that matches their niche value and the really high-end fragrances that they can produce for people. So what that I suppose represented was a tenfold increase in terms of their sales on their online website and reaching end users specifically. And they even adapted slightly further in terms of a subscription model where people could place an order and they will get the scents and the soya wax candles, the little melts, through their letterbox. So again, people trying to maintain social distance. They don't want people coming into a premises, so they couldn't have customers arriving on the doorstep to collect these. So the kind of subscription and mail order delivery drop service for these soy wax melts has been, really has sustained this business. But also it's opened up a completely new revenue stream and recurring revenue on an ongoing basis. So they've reached this completely new market that they never would have thought would have been possible. They weren't focused on and maybe didn't have time to actually adapt to or progress with. So I suppose COVID-19 has definitely represented a lot of challenges for all businesses, including our own. I haven't seen my office in about 12 weeks. But it also, what we've seen through this crisis is that businesses are very much willing to adapt. They really want to progress with the plans that they've had pre-COVID. They don't want to go under. They really want to keep working forward and turn this challenge into some sort of an opportunity to either reach new markets or adapt and do things differently.
I mean, I think that example that you've shared with us is really interesting. I don't want to be really cheesy and mention the sweet scent of success, but it sounds like Kim and Maria have probably ended up with a much more resilient business as a result of the digital transformation that they've gone through. Not through choice, but the situation is forcing businesses to really think differently. And out of that, some businesses will actually become more effective and resilient.
Exactly. I mean, must do is a great master. So it can be things you can constantly push off innovation or willing to adapt, whether that is a result of lack of time, lack of revenue, whatever the case may be. But when businesses are pushed to do it and they have the support, so whether that's through a council-funded program or a mentor who can work with you through that, I suppose the digital transformation, as you've mentioned, that they've undergone, when you have that support to go through it and you can see a pathway that'll actually get you there, it's much easier for businesses to actually adapt and, I suppose, make that change in their business.
Yeah, and I think for most business owners, trying to transform your business on your own is a lonely place to be, and you don't have all the skill sets that are needed. So if you can do it in partnership with support from a business program run by the council, particularly with the expertise that Brilliant Red can give, you can really set yourself upon a path of greater success.
Most definitely, I would completely agree with that, Katie. I suppose a lot of the time when we're working with small businesses, we can see they know there's a change. They know there's a brilliant world, whether it's digital in terms of e-commerce or selling. They can see their slightly larger competitors are doing it and they want a piece of that action. Sometimes they go about it and they can't just get it quite right. But when they have that support, they're very much willing to adapt and bring in that innovation into their business.
And look, Chris, what kind of really surprised me about the information you got from me earlier in the week was the kind of range of businesses you're working with. I mean, it's everything from Maria, candle making, scent making, to a bicycle shop, to a cleaning company. And there are a lot of fascinating case studies here. So what I'd like to do is bring some of the other speakers in and then maybe come back to you at the end to talk about, for example, Cobden and Brown.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Katie.
Thank you. I'm gonna talk to Gail now about healthy kids, something that I'm really passionate about. I have 3 children of my own, and I've always really encouraged them to do lots of physical exercise, think hard about what they're eating because of the kind of mental goodness that they can get from that. And I actually want you to start a program called Healthy Parents, which I my hand up to the desk during lockdown. So look, Gail, tell us a little bit about healthy kids and the I suppose the kind of pathway that you were on, and then some of the initiatives that you've driven during lockdown to bring innovation to the business.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you for the invitation. Healthy Kids started about 4.5 years ago, literally because of the epidemic that was in children, that as parents we are very, very conscious of what's happening and how they are addicted to technology, how they are worried about their mental health and everything else. Next, if we concentrate, if you take a classroom literally of 30 kids, 10 kids are excited about what they're doing for sport, 10 are very take it or leave it, and there's 10 kids, I was probably in that 10 in PE in school, who just don't want to do it. So Healthy Kids was designed 4 years ago by...
Sometimes the teachers don't want to do it even.
Well, yes, a lot of the teachers don't want to do it as well, which is where actually we found a complete need in order to have physical activity going into school. So we run an in-school health program The in-school health program literally takes every single child in a class and makes physical activity fun. It makes it engaging, it's high energy, it's so much fun in comparison to what PE was when we were all at school. Next, so Healthy Kids actually was very much designed to look after that and focuses on nutrition, eyes and teeth. It focuses on emotional well-being. It focuses on physical activity, simply because we know there's a huge link, as you just said, in relation to emotional health and everything else. Now, the statistics that we put up are going to be way higher from lockdown. We know that every single house every child has a tablet. And literally, I don't know about your house, but ours certainly got much more technology usage and everything else during lockdown. So Healthy Kids was an in-school program, is an in-school program, but obviously schools closed. Obviously innovation had to take a massive play, and what on earth are we going to do, because our core business of 120 schools in Northern Ireland physically stopped at the middle of March. Next, so what we did is actually we looked at how we could engage with families and children and pupils of our existing schools and also new schools. So we launched quite an innovative plan, quite an ambitious plan called the Global Challenge. We put together 5 weeks of daily workouts of Beat the Coach. So we had all our coaches doing videos. We made some sport specific, because we know some kids are very much into sport. We looked at sort of well-being tips. We looked at logging activities and everything else. From that, we had to then put everything online. We had a visual process, probably on Facebook, but we had to look at other ways of engaging with our new clients, of our existing pupils and everything else. So we had to then, we actually hired a marketing intern about a week before COVID-19 struck. So we've literally had to upskill, everybody's had to upskill to try and make sure that we are communicating with our new client base as such. So in 5 weeks for that, we logged over 35,000 activities on our app, which allows then reporting skills to come back to teachers and everything else. Next, so the next thing that we kind of thought of is, hold on, what normally happens at this time of the year? It's sports day. We know that kids love sports day. The parents get to come to school, they get to grandparents, parents and everything. So we actually wanted to think of a program that was really, we could actually connect properly with pupils, with schools. We partnered up with Spar, Eurospar, Vivo Extra, Vivo Essentials, to actually launch a virtual sports day. So as Chris was saying, a lot of businesses didn't know what to do. Where do we go? So as a lot of other businesses had no choice, we went virtual. We put together a pack for each school, each child. They could log onto our website, download the app, which was free. Everything was a free resource to really try and reconnect and engage with pupils. I think kids especially have probably been slightly forgotten about during this lockdown. It's been very much, oh, it's about business and everything else, but the children out there need school, they need social interactions. So this was actually a brilliant way on how we could actually tick some of those boxes. Over 5 weeks, we have had a phenomenal response. We have literally logged over a million activities in those 5 weeks from the sports day, and that took in things like sports day from when we were kids, the egg and spoon, the long jump, all those fun things that we did in school for those days. We had over 20,000 kids signed up in the first week and a half. A phenomenal response, one that probably we weren't expecting, so we quickly had to gather the team together. We picked teams looking after the social media side of it, because a lot of parents would contact us through Facebook. We had then admin teams looking after parents, admin teams looking after principals. So we had to change a lot from being an in-school health program to literally going, okay, what are we going to do in response to COVID-19? Next, so from that, we have gathered more and more learning. We've gathered a lot of learning over the last 14 weeks. So we've plans now put in place to run some of the cool camps for some of the Gaelic clubs across Ireland, where that's ongoing at the moment. There's resources available to that. It's certainly connect onto our website for more information. It's actually then we're going to focus on some of the other bigger sports as well, because we know that kids need something. What we learned was very much if we could build a habit of logging points, of logging sleep, of logging water content, of logging healthy eating, of logging, quiet time, all those different things that we could actually have on the app. The app is free to download, it's free to use. But the beauty about that was then each of the teachers had access to the dashboard, and they could then communicate on their in-school platforms and say, well done, Katie. You've drank water, you've had sleep, a good night's sleep. It's more than just activity, it's the holistic side of things that we wanted to really focus on in Healthy Kids. So it's been really interesting, but really beneficial to know that there is that connectivity between the normal, the old normal, and the new normal, and what has become the new normal over the last few months. We are also doing tailored health programs for some of the local companies, and that's again focusing on health, focusing on well-being, focusing on general health. We work with some different partners on that as well. So that's another sort of string to the bow that we didn't know was a market that was available to us. We also launched the Sports Day into the Republic and into the UK as well, and we've had a fantastic uptake on both of those markets. So it's been incredibly innovative for us. Next, please. Then what we're trying to do then is obviously similar to what Chris has been talking about with some of his client base. We've had to look at digitizing the program for going back to school. We don't know what's happening. We are still an in-school health program, but we need to make sure that what we are to produce, teachers will need the resources. So we're putting together resources with regards to physical activity, with regards to general health, and then emotional health as well. And those resources will be ready for September to go into the schools and into the schools across Northern Ireland. And if there's a need, we can go across the world at this stage, because that need is there for every parent to send their child back to school and to have some sort of normality.
I think that's probably what's really interesting is that what you're doing takes it away from being local in terms of the North Island region and allows you to find new markets all across the globe. I also think it's really interesting that it's more about the data, the information that is collected on the child, how they're sleeping, how they're resting, how they're reading, how they're being physical, because our kids, the younger generation is growing up in a data-rich environment, and that's going to really allow them to understand how they're utilizing their day, their time, but also their energy. And in the world that we're evolving into, that's incredibly important. That's another skill that the child at a very young age is being taught in this new virtual space with the programs that you run.
Absolutely. The beauty of the app as well, it actually tracks. So when we were doing the like of the egg and spoon race or the marathon, then each child could track their progress. So every day they would put in their time, what they had achieved. The next day, so they're actually beating their own personal best. And the good thing, what we found was some of the children then were texting or getting in touch with their friends going, oh, I did this in such and such a time. So there was that camaraderie as well, and that connectivity between friends. So we made sure that the children then knew what and how far they had actually got and their own personal best, because in Healthy Kids, we could have chosen to do just an after school program where it was just people who are interested in one sport or pupils, but our program is very much all inclusive. It's very much where every single child competes against themselves. It's not competition with the sportiest, fastest boy or girl in the class. It's competing against and bettering your own self. And that was the beauty of the program, and that has stayed with us. That's our core values, and that has stayed with us right through the sports day and through everything else.
And what's really good, Gail, is the fact that it's still encouraging children to understand teamwork, because they're able to connect with their kind of fellow pupils and things through the virtual program. And in the new world order, teamwork is one of those skills that we need this new generation. When we talk about skills later with Tracy and Kieran, it's one of those absolute prerequisites needed for anyone in the new world of work. So there's just, and it's fantastic that this business was actually founded in the ABC Borough Council area by primary school teachers that were really committed to that focus on physical education as well as the academic education. So well done to everyone at Healthy Kids. Andrew, I'm going to move on to Andrew. Gail, and we'll come back at the end, hopefully, if we have time. Andrew, I want to talk a little bit about your company for a start, because you're like a hidden gem down in Portadown. I think you employ nearly 40 people at GCD Technologies.
We do, yeah.
Which is worth celebrating in itself. So well done to you. And maybe if you just would take a few minutes to tell us a little bit about GCD, and then some of the really interesting companies that you've been working with during lockdown. Some of them are household names that you've helped pivot onto a new digital platform to help grow their businesses.
Sure, thanks, Katie. Yes, so GCD Technologies is a custom software development company, and effectively we work with two types of clients. We work with clients who want to develop a digital product, and so that could be an existing business that has a new idea that they want to productize online, be it an app like Gail was talking about, or some kind of web-based platform or other form of software. And the other type of clients we work with are clients who want to go through that journey of digital transformation. And digital transformation is one of these buzzwords that you hear. You need to be in on digital transformation. Nobody really fully understands what it actually means, but I think at its core, and it means many different things to different people, but its core, digital transformation is really just about utilizing digital technology to help your business work smarter. And that can take part in many different forms. And I was going to talk about a few examples today just of businesses that we have helped. And one is another Portadown business that actually made a very smart decision to invest in technology just over 18 months ago. We started a project with them back in January 2019. To look at their business. Their business was growing rapidly. This is a company, Global Home Warranties, who sells structural defect warranties on new build properties. The sort of the 10-year warranty that you need to get a mortgage on a new build property. And they were struggling with their growth. They'd reached that place of growing pains where Excel spreadsheets just weren't cutting it anymore. Inordinate amounts of time were spent copying things from one system to another system and just moving data from one place to another. And so we work with Global Home Warranties and have done over the past 18 months to completely digitize their entire workflow from the first time you pick up the phone to inquire about getting a structural warranty on a property, right through to their quotation, estimations, through to the surveying of properties. So they actually have to survey every single property that they insure 6 times throughout the build, right through to the issuing the certificates. And we're now even managing the claims whenever people are coming through claims on the other side. So their entire workflow process is now digitized in one centralized system. And where this has been so useful for them is when it came to the COVID situation, is they were able to just move straight into remote working because we had developed a cloud-based platform for them. Everybody had access to everything that they had in the office. They weren't dependent on paper files. They weren't dependent on access to the server in the office. They didn't have to deal with a lot of those problems that a lot of businesses still have to deal with now. And they were able to transition and continue to operate their business fully remote throughout the COVID situation. So their timing couldn't have been better. We were up and running, I guess, with the system still developing, but the core system was up and running sort of late last year, and they were just bedding it in nicely whenever this situation hit. So that's a fantastic success story about digital transformation. Another one is a business that we've worked with for a number of years and developed a lot of software for them, but were massively negatively impacted by the COVID situation. And that's a company called UniSlim. UniSlim, for those, what's that, sorry, Katie?
Yeah, we all know it.
We know UniSlim. So for those who don't, UniSlim are something like Weight Watchers, and they operate in our slimming world. They run a number of slimming classes. A lot of classes throughout Ireland, north and south. And we've been talking to them. We manage all of their classroom software for when you go to your class to do your way in, you scan your key fob, you stand on the scales. We manage all of that software for them and have done for several years. But when this situation hit, their classes had to stop. So their revenue dried up overnight. Nobody was paying to attend classes because they couldn't attend the classes. So they had to pivot very quickly. So we actually worked with them on a two-stage project to look at how they would pivot. Stage one was they started just producing video content. So to replace their physical classes, they started producing video content that they could share with all of their members, and they encouraged people to sign up for these online classes and to extend their membership. We already had an app for them, which became even more important because that became the central hub of communication. It's like a mini social network, a bit like Instagram for taking pictures of what you've cooked that evening and sharing it with everybody in your class. So that became the central point where people were discussing things. Usage of that app just increased massively, and we started adding new features to it because the usage was increasing. And so they saw their online classes working well for them, but phase two was actually to try and return and replicate their actual in-person classes, but they're not ready to do that in person just yet. So they now have UniSlim Zoom classes where their leaders they're still able to go to their leader, they're able to have their talk. They now do the weigh-in at home and record their weight in the app. So instead of going into class to record their weight, they're able to track their weight and still see the progress through the app. So they've had to adapt really quickly to this situation and find new ways to still run their business, which was massively impacted by the COVID situation.
And I think UniSlim's a good example of a very traditional business. I mean, like Weight Watchers, I mean, it's been around a long time.
Almost 50 years.
Yeah, which is fantastic in itself that it has, sort of endured all of those decades. And now it's into a new space because it's into a virtual space. And once again, that will open up more opportunities for them. But Andrew, just on that, so there's probably a lot of traditional businesses in the ABC area, and they're really scratching their heads thinking, my business is probably done. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, go anywhere with it anymore. All of my engagement with my customers was face to face. What would you say to those businesses, especially some of them in the retail sector? What advice would you give them? How would you encourage them to jump on board and have some conversations?
Yeah, well, I would say absolutely, Kitty. As Chris was saying earlier, especially around retail, the opportunities around e-commerce are huge. And what you can do with e-commerce, and many people have jumped onto e-commerce either before this situation or since this has arisen, as Chris was talking about, and been able to leverage that. But there are other ways to adapt as well. An example, it wasn't one we were involved in, but Robert Davison in Portadown, who are one of the major school uniform retailers, I saw they were putting out on Facebook about how they'd introduced an appointment system so that they could deal with appointments throughout the COVID situation. And because they can't handle as many people within their shops. So there are ways to leverage that digital technology. So I would say very much open your mind, have a think about it, but don't be limited by what you know. Reach out to other people, reach out to the council, reach out to companies like the likes of Chris's company and GCD as well, and have a talk to us, because one of the things that we love doing with companies is that ideation piece of actually taking the genesis of an idea that they have and stretching it and pulling it apart and putting it back together and seeing how we can bring technology to bear, because we have all of the experience of the technology. You have all of the experience of your business and what your business does and what value you offer to your customers. And when we work together, we can come up with some fantastic new technology. I'll give you one brief example. Another example is a company that we work with, who are a shop fitting company based in Northern Ireland, who had secured the contract with a certain computer and phone manufacturer who have retail stores to do maintenance of those stores throughout the UK. And they came to us and said, look, we've got an idea for an app that could make this process even slicker. And through the use of that technology that is used within those stores and by this company, they've grown their use of, or their service to that company to basically, they've extended to Europe. They now cover the entirety of Europe, and they now have extended into the APAC region as well. So they've got global reach, and the partners doing the work, but their technology is actually powering and planning all of the work done for all of the store maintenance practically throughout the globe.
Which is fantastic. And I think even just, focusing back on the UniSlim example, having the app and having the digital platforms allows UniSlim to have constant conversations rather than that weekly weigh-in conversation. And I think for any brand, especially at this period of the rise of the conscious consumer, you've really got to be able to engage with your customers, the people who want to engage with your brand all of the time. You've got to have those enriching conversations and build that brand equity with them. Otherwise, there's lots of other competitors out there that are going to be doing that. And look,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, as Gail was saying also on that, you can get a broader reach than you potentially have with your bricks and mortar. So Gail's already saying she has much more access to the UK market without necessarily people on the ground through the use of her technology. And the shop fitting company I referred to is another example of that. UniSlim again now see how their online classes can now extend their reach without necessarily having to build their network of actual leaders throughout the UK. They can extend their reach into new markets.
And look, I think that the bricks and mortar is so important because they're part of the fabric of the communities we all live in, and they're part of our towns and our
Absolutely.
cities. But we were moving towards a bricks and clicks experience anyway, the bricks and clicks world. And what COVID has probably done is accelerated that. I think that, I think it was L'Oreal gave out a stat that they expect to be selling 50% of their products online, 50% in the bricks and mortar, but they expect to be having 80% of the customer engagement online on those digital platforms. And so I'm going to move now to Tracy and Kieran from the Southern Regional College. And you've got such an important role because you also run programs to support businesses and discover innovation. But you're also creating the generations of the future, those young people, young and not so young people with the digital skills that can work with businesses and help them get digitalized much quicker. So Tracy, do you want to just talk to us a little bit about the role of SRC, in your own particular role in terms of the business engagement, and then we'll hear from Kieran on some of the specific programs and the exciting work he's been doing with a number of companies.
Okay, well, thanks, Katie, and thanks for inviting us along today to participate in this webinar on innovation. I suppose typically the college's core business is viewed as training and skills and apprenticeships, higher level apprenticeships, and certainly that is at the heart of what we do. But we also have a key role to play, I suppose, in driving the local economy by way of encouraging and facilitating innovation activities amongst our small business community. We do have a dual mandate, one to support social inclusion and two to play a pivotal role in generating a strong and vibrant economy. And one of the key ways we do that is by helping businesses to innovate. So I suppose it's just to make people aware, in terms of what investments we've made in this space and what role we play. The Southern Regional College has invested in a 10-strong team of innovation and technology specialists. They deliver research and development activities, technical mentoring, one-to-one support, ideas generation, some of the key things that have been mentioned already there this afternoon, those core activities to help people to innovate and grow. And as you've said, innovation is not the preserve of scientists and technologists. It is it's for everyone, every business, big or small, from across any sector, to innovate. And so I suppose we look at how we can support businesses with new products, new processes, new services in their business, how they can look at new innovative ways of reach to market and marketing. And some of the, I suppose, the key specialisms we have and some of the areas our specialists work in is food innovation, innovation, food product development, engineering and manufacturing. If you have a product, how do you get it to manufacture? How do you go through all those steps and those processes, and how do you get it to market? How do you work through your designs? How do you take it from concept to prototyping and so forth, regardless of what type of product it is? Digital transformation, we're talking a lot about that today. How do I get my business into the digital sphere? How do I move along in that area? Where do I start? So our specialists can take you through all those steps on a one-to-one basis, and all that support is, I suppose, fully funded. I suppose it's fair to say we're encouraged by the number of companies we've been working with in small businesses prior to COVID, who are, continuing with some of their ideas and innovations and haven't let it stop them, so that's been very encouraging. And then we've had other businesses who have, I suppose, seized opportunities because of COVID and have seen diversification opportunities and ways they can look at new products and new services, and they're embracing that and working through that. And certainly as an organisation, we always rely on face-to-face contact in everything that we do. So we've had to radically change our own business models in a very short space of time. We're moving to online courses, blended learning. Kieran and the team are moving to one-to-one mentoring through online platforms, Teams, Skype, Zoom, whatever way we can. And I suppose one of the key things we do in innovation is we don't just take away and do something for you. We show you how to do it. We train you up and show you how to, implement a new skill into your business that you can continue to innovate. And that one-to-one is very important. And we're fortunate that we can continue to do that through the online platform. So I suppose that's just important to get that across today. But I suppose Kieran and his 9 colleagues are very close to the projects. They deliver the one-to-one support. And so I'm just going to pass over to Kieran, who's our tourism specialist and very much involved in digital technology space. And he's going to take us through some examples of some projects that are ongoing at the moment.
Hi, Kieran. So tourism in particular is going to need a huge amount of support. It's been really badly impacted by COVID-19, and it will maybe have the slowest recovery journey. But let's hope that we're all going to take our holidays at home in the coming weeks and months. But what have you been doing? What can you bring to the tourism sector to really help them innovate, evolve, and engage with new customers?
Yeah, thanks very much, Katie, and thanks, Tracy. I suppose my background is tourism, digital, and lately art, although I'm not an artist, but I've been helping a lot of arts businesses through art and tourism links. Taking tourism, one company that I'm working with at the moment, whilst they're based in Newry, they do feature tours into Armagh, and that's called Brack Tours. So they're an incoming tour operator. And what I've heard so far, the key theme is about pivot. And 95% of their business was coming from North America and would be. They now realize that this year the US market is 70% down. So they quickly had to look at what can we do differently. So what we've been doing for the last 6 weeks with that company is totally focusing on the all island market, so they can specialize as a niche operator. But we're now exploring a podcasting project with them. So I'm taking him through the elementary steps of podcasting, where this content is going to be with any marketing collateral they have now in the future. They're going to be able to have a podcast to support that. So the skill set from them admittedly was very low, and I've been taking him through like some Microsoft Teams, various podcasting channels and opportunities, and we're hoping to launch with them their first podcast at the end of on the 1st of July. So that's one more just simple example. I suppose if I can take on to highlight where we have been going with this, there's a local artist, her name is Janet Hunt, and she's been doing some work in the Belmont Hotel in Banbridge. If you know that hotel, her art is there. So this will tie into tourism, but it's an example of art and tourism. We've been exploring augmented reality with Janet over the last 3 months using 2 platforms, one called Artivive and the other called Art Beamer. So where an artist can project their images, if somebody can, so they can project them onto a wall, and you know what it would be like in your room. In the background here, you see a couple of paintings. So that has already, and we're exploring that with her at the moment. She's starting to think very, very differently in what she does. Another thing that we're exploring with Janet is called virtual reality rooms. And this is very applicable to the hotel sector, to the accommodation sector, to all incoming tours, where you're virtually able to show people. You've probably maybe heard of virtual reality. The project that we're looking at is called through Mozilla Hub Spaces. And this is like it's kind of using gaming technology, but we all come within a room and we virtually experience. Not that in any way substitutes the real experience, but what it's going to do is entice visitors to actually come and visit. So that whole virtual reality pre-visit is going to become more important. I think you used an interesting talk there. You were talking about bricks and mortar and then bricks and clicks. But fundamentally to tourism is the people-to-people experience. And that's what people come for. What visitors are now looking for, they're scouring online and say, where can I go? So it's critical that tourism businesses have a presence, and these emerging technologies are really, really important. The likes of what we're talking with Brack Tours. There's another project we're doing with an artist called Robert Peters. He's again a local Armagh person. He's looking at, if you've heard of geocaching before, is where you go out and find little things in the hills and you use an app to do that. But he's looking at that through virtual reality. So we're exploring geocaching and virtual reality with him, and we think that this is going to lead to new opportunities for him. Another
Look,
person who yep, go ahead.
no, I mean, I think, you know,
Another,
the kind of wide diversity of projects that you're working in just kind of highlights how much Southern Regional College can jump on board with companies. And I'm delighted to hear that you're being able to help artists, because I think they've had a particularly difficult time and, you know, not always able to avail of the government support there has been made available to other businesses during lockdown. I have to say, a piece of art was my guilty purchase during lockdown, so I wish I'd been able to zoom it onto my wall. I'm waiting for it to arrive, and if I don't like it, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think being able to actually see it on your wall. Kieran, I just want to go back to Gail and just touch on the fact that, you know, you've kind of opened up a whole new world because of
yep.
the transition onto the digital platforms, especially around the Healthy Kids. So what does the future look like for Healthy Kids? You know, where do you see the potential leading you to?
Well, to be honest, Katie, we are like a lot of other people, especially when it comes to schools, we don't know what to expect in September. So what we've had to do, we've had to be quite creative in what our offering will be in September. There are going to be schools that still perhaps want a physical coach in, but under very strict guidelines, they must be outside. That may work for the first few weeks. The other side of it is then we will offer then a complete resource pack with regards to everything that we cover for the whole year, and that will take in everything from physical activity. There could be videos attached to how teachers are going to have to do that. We had looked at VR, we'd looked at lots of different things, but it's very much we need to put almost like a 3-strand program together. One, there is a physical coach that may or may not be allowed. 2 is actually putting all the resources onto a digital platform that actually can be accessed through the app and through the dashboard. So every week the teacher will literally just click on the dashboard that we have, and the lesson plan will come up, and that will look at nutrition, eyes and teeth. It will look at emotional, it will look at physical health as well, and making sure that we're almost looking at that child and thinking, okay, what does each pupil need? Then there will be a reporting mechanism back to the teacher at the end of every season or every term to say, your child or your pupil in primary 1 has achieved such and such, your pupil in primary 2 has achieved, and that can be fed back to the parents then if the school desires. So it's very much trying to engage with the children that are back into this new normal, trying to keep things as normal as possible, that they still do PE because of the huge impact it has on mental health. So it's very much a learning stage what we need to put together. So we know our program works, but again, it's that one-to-one where it works, where the coach is going in, it's high activity and everything else. So it's trying to put that all together in a program, and that's what we're kind of working very, very hard behind the scenes on right now.
And Chris, I just want to ask you about one of the companies that you mentioned on our call earlier this week, and that's Hobden and Brown, because I was really interested in how they have sort of discovered new channels of selling their product.
Exactly. So not only were they affected by COVID-19, but they're also affected by the B word, Brexit. So a lot of their chocolate would have been sold into the Republic of Ireland, and when Brexit happened, their orders were cancelled. The future orders were stopped by those retailers. So again, they would have sold through health food stores, in markets, so farmers markets, etc. So physical locations where they'd actually go and meet with potential sellers, retailers, and then sell their product through those people into the end user. So again, that market was kind of taken away. Their sales literally dropped to zero. So again, they had to really adapt and get online. So very much what Andrew was mentioning, they had to go through that process in a very quick way to get online and figure out what did their end user want, what was the kind of shopping experience they needed, and how could we do that in a very quick and very adaptive method. So they working with ourselves again, directed through the ABC Council on the Growth Driver program. We worked with them to create a very basic online store. So through EasyWood, again, it's just an online platform, but they actually started to see sales. So social media posts, whether it was through Facebook messages or Instagram messages, people were actually asking, where can I get my chocolate fix? So, I think that's one of our comforts that we've been able to actually enjoy through COVID-19. But people actually wanted their chocolate. They could see the demand was there. So we created this basic website that's allowed them to actually reach their end users. They've actually opened up the market again into the Republic of Ireland, selling directly to the end user, bypassing those retail stores. And they've also opened up into the export market, into the GB market, which was just something they hadn't considered previously. It was maybe on their export plans in a few years down the line, but they've actually took out that time gap and leapt right to the export market of the GB market through online technology. And working with them, we're just working now towards actually just completing their full e-commerce store with, so that was a bit of a stopgap website, but they now have a full e-commerce store with, high-end imagery, a nice user experience where they're really comfortable now that they can actually go to the market with a website that matches the offering that they have for their market in terms of the high-end chocolate that they produce. So again, another business that was very much willing to adapt and needed to survive.
Even because of the Brexit, taking aside COVID-19, we also had that double whammy of the Brexit impact. Yeah,
exactly. It was an interesting couple of months for them.
Yeah, and when you think of the Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavonburg Council area, you really do think of it being the food basket for Northern Ireland and beyond. And it's great to see the work that you've done with Cobden and Brown, and also that the regional colleges are doing in terms of food innovation. And also, it's just such a tourism-rich Borough Council area, and it's so important that lots of support is given to those SMEs, because both of those sectors are quite dominated by SMEs, and they need the help and support to think about innovation. Andrew, I just want to ask you one thing, because I'm conscious we're sort of heading towards five to three, but a lot of people, when they think about innovation, they do get a little bit panicked because they think it's going to be high cost. What's kind of your perspective on the cost? I mean, obviously the reward hopefully will outstrip any financial investment you have to make, but if cost is a reason why people don't want to come forward and chat about innovation, what's your advice?
Yeah, well, what I would say there, Katie, is what we try to look at is value rather than cost. In terms of what value are you going to get out of that technology. So it may take a high cost to invest in getting the technology, but what is the value that you can get back? And if that equation doesn't look like it's going to match up, then it's not worth investing in the technology. But what I would say is that the ability to get started and dip your toe in the water is easier than ever. As Chris was referring to, there are platforms online that allow you to get started with an e-commerce shop from your own bedroom, and you can start selling stuff. You can start selling stuff through other e-commerce platforms, the likes of eBay and Amazon. You can use other platforms that exist already to get started. I'll be honest with you, sometimes the investment in technology, if you're going down the sort of custom route that we often do, the cost is quite high, but we often have companies that come to us that aren't sure whether the value is there for them, and we'll encourage them to go and look at other platforms or other ways that they can actually test the market and see if there's value. Again, Chris gave a brilliant example where they put up a quick e-commerce store, validated that there was real value there, and that gave them the confidence to make the decision to invest in the fuller e-commerce experience, because you can get a higher return if the experience is right and if you do invest in doing the right thing. So again, the global home warranties example that I gave earlier, that was not a cheap investment for them in terms of investing in custom software to develop their entire flow, but it's software the company enjoys using. They were using various software systems before that were hard to use. They didn't work well together. There were various issues, whereas one complete system that fits them like a glove was a worthwhile investment for them. So what I would say is there's lots of different levels that you can get started at, and it's a matter of finding the right level, but be sure that the value is there for you before you invest big money.
Yeah, and I think it's working with those partners to really understand what will be that return on the investment, and then that will help guide you towards the decision around how much to invest. But I think what's really fantastic about all of the stories and the case studies that everyone has shared today is that a lot of the interventions around innovation are not high cost, they're low cost. And also most of the people that have really jumped on and thought about innovation have actually seen a growth in their overall turnover or sales, and seen it quite quickly, especially some of the examples that you've shared with us. For you, Gail, it's about being able to now bring healthy kids to a global market. So, we're going to be living in a world of blended learning. School has changed. It's not just out for summer, it'll be out for a bit longer. But now you've got something that you can roll out to schools all over the world. And once again, I think that's the opportunity that innovation affords. And so, look, Tracy, for anyone wanting to get in touch with Southern Regional College and to chat to Kieran about some of the technologies, and some of those sound quite low cost, which is also really good. But for somebody who wants to get in touch with Southern Regional College to kind of come and play with some of those technologies, Tracy, how should they go about that?
Well, I suppose we have a dedicated phone number and email address for the business engagement unit, so that would be the best way to get in touch with us, betterbusiness@src.ac.uk, and then we will put you in touch with the right specialist just to sit down and look at what your business is doing and where you want to take it and what supports we can offer, and just to help you get through the stages then.
Tracy, we have a 3D design, Katie, this Friday. I know it's a quick plug, but we have a 3D design online workshop this Friday on Microsoft Teams. Again, if you check the SRC site, you'll get that. So interestingly, it'll talk about CAD, about 3D design, but you'll see examples of what we've been able to do on 3D projects. That in the classic steps is a 10-stage process of design and innovation that one of the designers has come up with, and he's going to walk through that. So be worth coming along to.
And can I just also add quickly? Sorry. In addition to that, our students are some of our students are excellent on some of the projects they do, for small businesses at no cost. They can take on with a project-based learning initiative, it's called, but very much live industry briefs for small businesses, take on a research project or a marketing or a digital project. And some of the work that they come up with is amazing, very fresh and innovative. So it's certainly an opportunity for small businesses if they're looking for something in the next couple of months, or really from September on, that some of our students can undertake some projects for them as well.
And I think that's a really important message to get out today, Tracy, because this has been a difficult period for young people. And if there's a business out there that needs support and needs a little bit of help, bring that young person into your business, give them the opportunity to grow with you. They will bring you insights, information, intel that isn't within your own scope of work. And they bring
a lot more digital savvy than some of us as well.
Exactly. So any businesses listening today, I would really encourage them to reach out. In fact, I had a company on with me in the last few weeks, and the advice I get to them is, you don't need me. You actually need to go to your local regional college and bring in a young person. They will deliver exactly what you need. So I'm really delighted to end on that note. And look, I think the one thing that the whole COVID-19 experience has taught us is that we are all in this together. And if anything, it has driven more collaboration between universities, colleges, the council, government, business. We are all in it together, so we have to help each other. ABC have a very strong business support hub, and anyone that wants to get in touch with them, please do so, and they can put you in the right direction of their business growth programs and also some of the other support that's out there. I would just like to take the opportunity to thank all of you for not just taking part today, but also prepping for taking part today. I wish you all every success in your own businesses or with the businesses that you work with. And I just want to say to everyone listening today, take care and stay safe.